I remember when he used to take me up to his farm, his coffee farm in Mavis Bank in St. Andrew, and we would help him pick coffee on the farm, and then we would go to the spring afterwards to wash the coffee and to bathe in the spring water and drink the spring water.
Fond memories there from a daughter of the first man in her life. It's Father's Day, and we want to wish all fathers a wonderful day. This is your day, your day. Happy Father's Day to you. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. We have a wonderful lineup just for you. Don't go anywhere.
There's just something deep down that gives me fun, that, you know, having her smile at me saying, "Daddy, I'm hungry," right? You get her something to eat. I mean, it has just been fun. I just want to encourage persons out there who are fathers, you know, remember that we are the ones who are building the next generation, right? And it's very important that we seek to play our part. Even if you think you're not doing the best job, right, just do the best you can. I mean, wherever you figure you're falling short, seek if you can find persons, mentors, people who can help. I mean, to build you, buy books, right? Do whatever you need to do your best to ensure you're the best father you can be to your son or your daughter.
Wherever you find you're falling short, seek help. This statement is particularly interesting because it takes us to our next segment. We all need support, and our fathers are front and center in this week's Get the Facts. Let's join the conversation.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on the latest topics. I'm Theodore Henry. Today's show is it's a special one, as it is a Father's Day show, and it's dedicated to, you guessed it, fathers. Father support plays a crucial role in the development and the well-being of children and the overall family dynamic, whether it be emotionally, I know we don't usually consider that one, but mentally or physically. When lacking the support of a father, children generally feel a great loss, one that can follow them for all their lives. But we could also argue that fathers too need support. Often the conversation will surround the woman and what they need, and that's fine. But today, we're talking father support, the importance of getting so that they can have to give. Showing support to fathers is crucial for several reasons, as it not only benefits the fathers themselves, but also positively impacts their families and communities. And that's exactly what we're here to do. We are joined by Ms. Kesia Carr, Chief Executive Officer of the National Parenting Support Commission, NPSC, and she'll be telling us what the agency is doing in this regard. We also have some experts on the subject matter, Mr. Elroy Richards and Michael Carr, to round out the conversation. Lady, gentlemen, welcome to Get the Facts.
Thank you.
Let's jump right into getting the facts. All right, let me start with the gentleman. Sir Elroy, I'm going to start with you, then Sir Michael. Tell me, from your perspective as a father, what is one of the most common challenges you think fathers face?
Well, fathers always face the challenge as to be the head, the supporter, the strong one in the family.
Right.
But oftentimes, fathers are present, but the quality time is what's really missing. And sometimes, because of work purpose, we are lacking that.
So you think that because of the pressure to be head and provide and protect and this, it pushes aside?
Yes, sir.
The perspective. Okay. Michael?
Well, the pressure is on where we have to be setting the example and balancing that with what is happening in today's world. Because what is happening now is that you might have certain standards, but when our kids go out into the school and in an environment, there's a different standard. So the pressure is on how to balance that and make them know that what we are telling them is a correct thing for do.
Conflict of standards.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Lady Carr, I want to rope you in on this one. I am aware of a sort of societal perception of what fathers are, which actually tends towards what fathers are not. Is that still the case?
To an extent, yes. But I want to say that the perception of fatherhood and who fathers are in that process is changing.
Oh, that's great.
Whether or not it's changing at the pace that we want it to be changing is another conversation. But I do see changes in the conversations around fatherhood. And a part of that also has to do with the fact that fathers are now seeking support. So before, it's not a situation where supports were not available. It's that because of the whole orientation or socialization where man is supposed to be macho and strong and tough, and you're right, protector and provider.
Don't need no help.
He doesn't need any help at all. But we're seeing changes in that, where fathers are recognizing their humanness, that, hello, you're not Superman.
Yes.
You can come for support. Now, they are saying to us, though, that the supports that they need, they don't want those supports to be delivered in the same spaces where women are. And so as a commission, we're responding to that. We take it very seriously.
Gentlemen, I have to bring you in on that one. Do you see that value as well of men sharing with men supporting men? Not that we have anything against women.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying because how we were oriented as growing up, we have this macho thing about us that when women are involved and they come, we start to feel smaller and we don't feel like a man. So we and sometimes I think that women don't really understand what we're going through because because we're kind of different. Because of our macho status is kind of different. So what would be a challenge to us? A woman will look at it and say, "Troy, that you talk about?" Like my wife, let's say that. Because sometimes my wife will say that to me, say, "That you think?" I say, "Yes, that is important to me."
Right.
It is important. So when you have another man who can relate to our feelings, then it will be a better environment. So I agree with Ms. Carr.
Sir Elroy, but I know you're big on quality time. Do you think that sometimes quality time doesn't happen because Daddy just don't see, he doesn't have the emotional capital that quality time requires?
Yes, as I was saying, because sometimes it's the way he was cultured.
Yeah.
Because even in my personal life, I didn't have a father around me.
Right.
So I don't know how it is to really relate to that father figure. However, I've learned it from other men, family, friends, how now to navigate around with my own son.
Yes.
And sometimes it puts us in a space as male, you know, because we are so macho. Like, for instance, you used to say to your son, "You know, I love you." It just comes across our way.
Can't do that.
Then now we kind of differ from saying certain things.
Okay.
"Come here, boy, give me a hug," you know, like.
I get you.
So that's it.
We're going to have to go to a break, but Lady Carr, here's a man who has sought support. But we are going to a break. It's Get the Facts. We're talking father support in this Father's Day special. Please stay with us. We're coming right back. Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're continuing our conversation on father support. Lady Carr, let's talk about the NPSC and how do you think workplaces can better support fathers?
Well, the National Parenting Support Commission is this wonderful entity housed under the Ministry of Education that has been established to give support to parents simply.
Right.
And workplaces can support fathers, one, by ensuring that they get the time to spend that quality time that is being referenced. We hear it a lot actually at the Commission. For us, quality time is not necessarily the length of time, but it is what you do with the time that you have. But perhaps flexi work hours, so that, for the fathers who have to go to school to drop off their children, that they get that time not just to drop off and leave. We're proponents of that partnership between home and school.
Yes.
And so instead of just rushing through and dropping off, then they get time to say to the teacher, what's really going on with my child, and how do you need me to support at home?
Wow.
And a delayed start would facilitate that.
Yes.
And also, maybe coming in on different days, to complete the same task. So we're looking at flexi week, flexi work hours that support. Of course, there is a big talk of paternity leave that we certainly endorse, because parenting is a journey for both man and woman.
Right.
And that support that women need, and the bonding that needs to happen between mom and child and dad and child, that bonding is important. And so we support paternity leave. We support them being fully immersed in that process, getting to know the child, understanding the child, the child's needs, and bonding. That relationship between a child, boy, father, girl, father, is very important. For a girl, it certainly teaches a girl what a relationship with a man ought to look like.
Yes.
Yes, it's the first relationship a girl will have with a male.
First and the basis going
That's
forward.
right, absolutely. It sets the foundation. And for a boy, it's going to teach what navigating life, understanding how to treat women, understanding what it means to respect yourself, what it truly means to be a man. And then perhaps we'll have consensus on what those values should be, because we'll all have the time to inculcate from very early what it is that we want from our children, so that when they become fathers, they have good principles to emulate.
Right, you are. A house built together is certainly stronger.
That's right.
Gentlemen, you have a subject matter expert here at the national level, National Parenting Support Commission. I'm opening the floor. Is there a question you would pitch to Lady Carr?
Why is it that it seems, in my point of view, that there's a bias when it comes to men's feeling in the society? Why is that?
Well, that's really, the bias that you sense is real, and that's because of what you said before. The way we're socialized, the way our boys are socialized from they're young, that you're not supposed to tap into their feelings. You heard the conversation about mental health, and he went right to emotional health, what you feel and how you think. In Jamaica, what we feel is described in so many ways as bad. We use bad to describe a range of feelings. We don't teach words, and so there is a bias that men should not feel. You're supposed to power through.
True.
And so that is something we all have to work on changing as a society. How do we view our boys, and allowing them to understand their feelings and name the feelings that they have, so that we can better be able to work through.
Sir Elroy, you have one for us?
My question would be, why is it that the males are being pressured to support the child, and in which it's a mother-father situation? Why the male has been so pressured?
And I think what's implicit in your question is financial support, right? And you're right, support is a wide range of things. It's certainly not limited to financial support. And that's a question to ask. Why are males pressured to be the sole providers? Because it really shouldn't be. And I know too that there is data that show that the man in the household not only supports his child, if there are other children, he's expected to support those children too, especially if the father is missing, and support the woman. That's something we have to change as a society too, that there are two persons who are responsible for the well-being and upbringing of the child. And support is not limited to finances, but support emotionally. And you have to understand the language for emotions, what you feel, you know. So the support is wide, and it really ought to be shared equally between mother and father. Great questions.
Thank you. Thank you for the answers. And Lady Carr, can you share with us just a little bit in these last few minutes, actually seconds, what is it that the NPSC has in store for fathers?
Well, we have a lot in store for fathers. We do have programs that range to develop effective parenting skills. Recently, just Wednesday, we had a training session for 100 men. And the idea is that we're building their capacities to give support to their peers and other boys who are fatherless, and primarily in tough ecologies, because we do have concern that these boys are lured into gang activities because many of them are fatherless. And so we're supporting them through mentorship for their peers and for these boys. And of course, today, being Sunday, we have the Eternal Father Awards, where the public gets to nominate men who have displayed effective parenting practices, and we're awarding them. And I think it's a great first step as a country for us to not only celebrate our men on Father's Day, but to celebrate them all year round, because they're great men, great fathers who are contributing very well to the upbringing of their children, and by extension, the uplifting of our society.
And we must hear those stories too, more often.
For sure, for sure.
There are many fathers and to-be fathers who are watching this program. If I can ask all three of you to just give that one bit of encouragement you'd like to leave with our audience, starting with Lady Carr, working our way to Sir Carr.
Fatherhood is a journey. It's a very important journey as well. It never stops. It starts from conception and it goes throughout. Under law, it will say by age 21 when they're adults, or 23 if they're in school. But any adult will tell you that the father who is around, they still need their support. It's an important journey. The National Parenting Support Commission has been established to help all fathers across this country. And we want to listen to your stories. We want to provide the supports for you. And where we don't have the answers, we have other agencies, other ministries where we can work together to find those answers, because we believe that you are important and the support is available to you.
Sir Elroy?
Yes. In closing, I would just like to salute all fathers out there, all real fathers out there. My take is this: why not just change Father's Day? Get Mother's Day, Father's Day together, and turn it into an International Parents Day.
Parents Day. Michael?
My final word to you guys is that put God first in your life. Love your children as you love yourself, because you can't go wrong by that, and live by example, not by just saying it, but by action. Because if you act on what you say, your children will listen. They'll be better men in the society. God bless you. Happy Father's Day, everyone.
And on that note, this has been Get the Facts, and I do hope we were able to enlighten you and encourage you today, and even empower. So do have a prosperous day, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Happy Father's Day.
My father died when I was 2, so I have very little experience with my father. Fathers for me were the community of males that instilled good values and provided me with the corrective instructions about how to behave and how to be a man.
Recognizing that not all fathers fathered biological children, and that there are uncles, cousins and friends who have stepped into the gap for a child or two, we want to say well done to you as well. Switching gears a bit, if you have fathered children and would like to add your name to their birth certificate, this next feature should give you the know-how. Take a look.
For children whose father's name is not on their birth certificate, what we find is that for legal purposes, persons want inheritance, most times we need proof of paternity. And which other way would you show that John Brown is the father of this child if his name is not on the birth certificate? It makes it much more difficult when they are supposed to be probating the will.
So my name is not on my child's birth certificate. How could I add it?
Well, there are three means by which a father's name can be added to a child's birth record. One is that he signs at the time of the registration. So if the registration is done at the hospital today, he visits the hospital to sign within the window of the mother being there and signs. Now, if it's a case where the father is not available, or he's out of the island, or he's otherwise engaged, then the other means by which he can add his name is by what we call a Form E. Now, this document is signed by both parents in the presence of the Justice of the Peace, and they would have submitted their IDs along with the form once it is signed. This form, though, is valid for 42 days, and it's 42 days from the date of registration. After 42 days, the form is not valid.
But my child is already 1 year old. That time has well passed. What can I do?
The next means by which the name can be added is by what we call a status form. Now, this form is utilized once the child is over 6 weeks old. Once the child is over this time frame, what it means is that you'd have to complete the status form, have it signed in the presence of the Justice of the Peace, both parents would submit their IDs, and the father would have submitted his birth certificate. There's a cost attached to this service once a child is over 6 weeks.
I'm a full-blown adult. My father is 1 foot in the grave. Can I still add him to my birth certificate?
There are no restrictions to what time frame you can add your name. If the child is 100 and the father is still alive, then of course he can send the status form in order to add his name to the child's birth record. If the father is deceased, then it makes it a little bit more complicated because he's not here to sign. He's not here to vouch to say that he's actually the father of this child. So with that, you'd have to go through the court, do the necessary documentations in terms of affidavit and all that in order to add the father's name to the child's birth record.
My situation is a bit different. My daughter now lives overseas, but it is something that I've always wanted to do. Is it still possible?
If the child is overseas, then it would not affect the processing of that application because the requisite documents really involves the parents. So once a mother is here in the island, she can sign, and if she's not in the island, then the form is on our website. It can be pulled down, printed, completed in the presence of a notary public, and then the original is sent to us or to the applicant who will be applying for the birth certificate. Now, bear in mind that when you're adding the father's name to the child's birth record, is what we call a record updating activity. So if it's not the child or the mother who's coming to do this application, the application should accompany a permission letter.
RGD register my son wrong and give him another man's name. I need for them correct that. So how that I go?
Once it affects the child's identity in terms of who they really are, like a brown to a gray, that changes a little drastic. So of course, you know, you'd have to go through the court where DNA would have been ordered to prove the true paternity of the child, and then a court order is sent to the RGD to do the necessary changes to the birth record or to create a new birth record depending on what is ordered by the court.
My baby mother no stop growing me. Every time me tell her to add my name, it's a different issue. What me fi do.
In adding the father's particulars to the child birth record really requires the consent of both parents. So there is no two ways about it, because only these two people can tell that yes, I am the parent or parents of this child or children. Now, if it's a case where one parent is not consenting to adding the particulars of the father, or the mother is not consenting to adding the particulars to the child's birth record, there's not much that the RGD can do in terms of pursuing this application, because the requirement is that both of them have to sign. So mommy has to say, yes, this man is the father of the child, and this man acknowledge that, yes, I am the father of the child. Only in that way that the father's particulars can be really added to the child's birth record, because it's a declaration that you're making to say that, yes, we are the parents of this child or children.
My name is on my child's birth certificate, but the spelling is incorrect. How can I fix that?
It depends on the variation of the name. If it's a case where the father can substantiate that the name should have been spelled this way by using his birth certificate and other proof, then the RGD can treat it as a clerical error. So we first have to determine what is the name and what is the name that you require, and what evidence do you have to support the name that you really want. We've had instances where mothers show up at the hospital with more than one daddy, and we find that the truth always comes out when questions are being asked. Now, whether there is one gentleman for the KFC, one for the Burger King, one for the rent and the other miscellaneous stuff, make sure that the name that is being added to the record is the biological father of the child. So I always encourage mothers, do it right the first time, because in correcting this error, it is a very tedious process. It has to go through the court. We can't just write John Brown and then you come back to say, no, it's not John Brown, it is Tom Stokes, and we just take the pen and cross out John Brown. It cannot be done like that. It has to go through the court, where there has to be proof of who the biological father of the child is, and the only way you can determine that is through a DNA, which is quite expensive. So I usually encourage our mothers to do it right the first time.
Happy Father's Day to my brother, my son's father, and my dad. You guys are amazing fathers. I love you all, and you guys have definitely wholeheartedly embodied the meaning of a father, and I'm so grateful for you guys for being in your children's lives and for continuing to be amazing fathers and setting an example as a role model and as a father in Jamaica. So thank you and happy Father's Day.
Blessings to all the wonderful fathers. For today, you may put your feet up, close your eyes, and rest, waking to renewed purpose, ready to lead, as is your purpose. We have come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.